I'm thrilled to have the pleasure of meeting Tasoula Hadjitofi, the author of the memoir Icon Hunter, which is here, a refugee's quest to reclaim her nation's stolen heritage. And I'm really excited to interview about this book because this was one of those books that I couldn't stop talking about to anybody who would listen. I would read it and tell my husband, did you hear about the Turkish Cypriot War? Did you know what they did? Did you know what happened? And I went to the Metropolitan Museum and I went to the Cypriot art section and there was a volunteer and I was like, have you read Icon Hunter? Do you know about what happened with this with the Cypriot art? This book is really, really wonderful. I enjoyed both your story and how you told your experiences from being a refugee to working as an honorary diplomat, as well as running a company, and through all this, struggling to reclaim the stolen religious heritage of the Cypriot community, religious and cultural heritage of the Cypriot community. The book has history and art intrigue and mystery. It's really wonderful. It's everything you could ask for in a great memoir. So I congratulate you on this memoir, and I'm very excited to have you with me today.
Thank you so much, Foba. Thank you. And I must say that it did help me writing the book with an American lady who is non-Christian Orthodox, because a lot of things we take for granted about the role of the icons in our faith, that they are a means for us to pray. But for a non-Christian or a non-Orthodox person where images have a different purpose in their faith, it is hard to imagine the value of these religious antiquities to Christian Orthodox worldwide.
Yeah, definitely. So I congratulate her as well, Kathy Barrett.
Yes.
It sounds like it was a great partnership because it really does speak to a very wide audience while being true to your background, your cultural background and religious background. And me as somebody Orthodox, I connected so much with what you described in it. So I don't want to give away too much because I want my readers to read the book. So what I will start with asking is, in the book we've read about your efforts to repatriate the Cypriot icons. And since the publishing of the book, have more artifacts been returned?
Well, there are antiquities or looted antiquities from Cyprus being repatriated every year. My work, the awareness raised by my work, but also the NGO, the people I work with, and the recent events in Syria have contributed to tighter legislation worldwide in order to protect cultural heritage. The link of the destruction of cultural heritage to other crimes like weapon selling, drug selling, economic crimes, but also extremism, push it up the priority list of politicians. And I also believe the struggle, particularly in Europe, for integration and the respect for diversity has also made politicians look at the role cultural heritage places for identity. So yes, more antiquities came, and the laws are much tighter now.
Great, that's good news. And you mentioned identity. Can you talk about what effect have the returns to these antiquities had on the Cypriot community abroad and in Cyprus, as well as other returns to other countries that you've been working on more recently?
Well, the thing is that when there's a war, there's always destruction of cultural heritage, and destruction of cultural heritage is normally seen as something for the elite, luxury, and I feel that it was never understood the role it has to people in affected communities. Now, being myself a refugee and being myself an immigrant in Holland, I have struggled a lot with my identity because I have a sense of belonging in Cyprus emotionally, culturally, but I love Holland, and I spent many years feeling guilty for loving Holland. But at the end of the day, practically, I'm different here and different there. So by highlighting and bringing the awareness that the cultural heritage, the meaning it has to ordinary citizens, I think it makes people aware, and the politicians, the role it has on our identity, whether religious or historical. They hold the community together because they hold shared memories. And when you're abroad, you're being different amongst different, you want to hold back on something. And those memories, the happy memories in particular, back home, they are very vivid when you are living abroad. That's what I found.
Yes, yes, definitely.
And repatriating them, you know, if you're a refugee, you feel helpless. You feel there's nothing you can do. You just sit and wait until others decide for you to go home. And I feel that by bringing these antiquities home, you feel you're contributing, you know.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, and you've started to make a wider contribution. I think since you published the book, you started an organization called Walk of Truth.
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, Walk of Truth was actually established before, but it took some time to decide where we'll focus, because we needed to find out what is available out there, what is different with us, what can we do which is, you know, different. And we found that although there were many initiatives, there were not many initiatives that engaged the public in the responsibility to protect cultural heritage. And that's the area we decided to focus. So we decided collecting lessons learned of repatriation, whether from Cyprus, but also from other countries, which we make available to other ordinary citizens who want to watch the trade and contribute to repatriating. We lobbied for the change of legislation in the United States, in the UK, in the Netherlands, and we've been very successful in Holland and in the UK, and we hope soon to be also in the US to tighten the laws. And we contribute into antiquities being repatriated from other places than Cyprus by using this network and the lessons learned. For example, antiquities from Syria or from Yemen.
Yes. Yes. Iraq.
Sorry?
There was some news about antiquities from Iraq
Yes.
that have been, yeah.
Yeah, well, you see, we are a network of antiquities, our cultural heritage lovers worldwide. There are academics, there are law enforcement, there are lawyers. We are all volunteers. And basically, we share knowledge, we share whereabouts and lessons learned so that we can help each other. Yeah. So directly or indirectly, anyone repatriating any antiquity contributes to the cause of the others, and lessons learned are daily created for all of us.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I do hope that as more awareness gets raised, the network grows and more people take those lessons learned and continue to strengthen some of these laws, to prevent such theft and theft in the future.
Yeah.
So going back to the book, you shared so much vulnerability in the book about your drive to repatriate the stolen icons to your home country, and you share how it affected your marriage and family life, while also, being very fair and testifying to the immense support that you received from your family as well. Now, years after those very intense years during the time of the Munich sting, and I'm dropping hints so the readers want to open the book. The sting that you played a very big part in arranging. How would you say your work to repatriate the icons and your work with Walk of Truth has affected your family over the long term?
Well, obviously, during the time, my priorities was the repatriation, and my responsibilities were my company, my children, my family. And I had to juggle a lot of balls in the air, and I constantly felt guilty, like most women do, that they have more than one balls to juggle on the air.
Yeah.
So I felt very guilty for depriving time from my family to go and work undercover with police officer and track down antiquities. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not an easy task
Yeah.
for an everyday mother.
Yes.
But with the time, now that my children are older, the only thing I can say, I would do it tomorrow again and again. I have zero regrets. And my children, now that they're older, I think they're my greatest funds, and they are so wonderful, and they're so proud of what I've done, and they're helping me, and they support me, and so does my husband. So no regrets. I just extended my network of funds with them.
Good. Have they read your book?
Absolutely.
Good. What were their? How did they respond?
Well, they loved it, but they are shy and they don't like their pictures being shared.
Yeah, I guess it comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Mhm. So we mentioned earlier in the interview about how you talk about your Orthodox faith and what these artifacts and antiquities mean as an Orthodox Christian. And what I enjoyed about the book too is how you managed to be true to your Orthodox Christian faith without judging or condemning other religions. How were you able to draw the line when it seemed like the theft of your cultural heritage was religiously motivated?
Well, thugs are thugs everywhere.
Mm.
And I think that thugs have no nationality
Mm.
and no boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they are good and bad everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I could even argue that the destruction of religious antiquities, being that it was done by Turkish soldiers and Muslims, that it was religiously motivated. But if you look at art trafficking and the whole chain, there are guilty parties to it, because there is lack of legislation and how they pass unspotted through customs, how some legislation is more favorable to the possessors than others. So if you are as busy as I've been with the subject, you understand that there are a lot more things to improve to stop this crime than the religious motivation. Therefore, I don't see it that way. Now, how it impacted my faith, it is another question. As a child, I was born Christian Orthodox, and I was Christian Orthodox by culture and by fear, because I wanted to be a good girl and I did what my mom told me to do, or what my parents did. But through my journey of the repatriation and my growth and my reflection, and particularly my relationship with the former Archbishop of Cyprus that I worked closely with, my faith deepened and strengthened. And as a free woman living in the Netherlands, I can say that today I'm more faithful, because today I choose my faith by choice as a free woman and not because I have to.
I would say that's probably the case for a lot of Orthodox who live sort of away abroad or away from their home Orthodox country. When they live in a lot of the diaspora in Europe, in the U.S., they probably feel that way, that they decided to stay when they had the freedom to leave and have so many choices.
But also, when I coming back to faith, you said how I don't condemn other faiths. I am one of those people that I believe that, my family today is beyond boundaries. My friends and family are people I share my values with. And I have friends that share the same values as me from a variety of religions. And I think that sharing the same values is fundamental to relationships, more so than religion, because if you can be from the same ethnic group or from the same nationality, but if you don't share the same values, you're going to be divided or you're going to have conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, that is what I've learned. And I believe that the Christian Orthodox faith works for me. But who am I to judge what you believe or someone else believes? If that works for them and they share my value system, i.e., they're not using faith to be destructive, then who am I to judge?
Let God be the judge, exactly.
Exactly, exactly.
So speaking of crossing borders, you dedicated your book to refugees. And on my blog too, I've written about the current refugee crisis, and it, you know, not just on my blog, it's been in the news. It seems to be a growing crisis. What advice would you share with a refugee right now about finding their way in the world? What advice would you give them about creating a new community in their new environment?
Well, I would like to give two tips. One for the people who interact with the refugees, and one about refugees. The people who interact with refugees, I would like to tell them that as refugees never chose to leave home. We are people who are forced away from home. So we are not here to steal people's jobs or wealth. We didn't choose for this. And a true refugee, the first year of their arrival to a new country is normally traumatized, and their priority is not to learn the local language and integrate, because that is contradictory to what we want. We don't want to hear that we're here to stay because we're still dealing with the trauma of having to leave. That is one thing that I would like to make clear, that we are not economic migrants. And then the second is, as a refugee, I can only share from my own experience that the inability of going back home and this helplessness feeling of there's nothing I can do, watching the trade, watching collections and tracking down antiquities or contributing with information to the repatriation of antiquities, it really helped me to heal my inner conflicts, my inner wounds, you know. So I channeled all this energy into bringing home the antiquities until I am able to go home. And I recommend it to anyone. So if anyone wants to do the same, reach out to Walk of Truth, send us an email or reach out to me. And I promise you, we will share with you lessons learned, our network, everything, and empower you to do the same for your own country.
Good. Good. I hope many people take you up on this offer.
Thank you.
So I have two announcements. The first is that Pegasus Books provided me with a giveaway copy of Icon Hunter to one of my readers. So those readers who would like to enter, subscribe to my email newsletter and comment on the blog post about why this book interests you, and I will post more details about the giveaway in the post. But I have another announcement that Tasoula has not heard, and that is that Icon Hunter has been chosen as the Being in Community Book of the Year for 2018.
That's nice of you. It brings tears to my eyes. That I didn't expect. You didn't tell me.
So to give you some background, the Being in Community Book of the Year is an honor I bestow on one book that I have read that year that truly encompasses the idea of being in community. A book that is about different kinds of community: family, work, local community, global community, religious community, how to build them, how to navigate them, how to strengthen them. And Icon Hunter manages to touch upon all of these important spheres and aspects of community. So this is the third year I've bestowed this honor. This is the third book to receive the Being in Community Book of the Year award. So I congratulate Tasoula and I thank you so much for joining me and for writing this wonderful memoir.
I'll share that with my Kathy as well.
Yes. So congratulations. It is, right now it is just an honor.
Thank you.
Maybe in the future it might be something bigger, but I do want to thank you again for joining me, for sharing your story. It is something that will, you know, certainly strengthen many people on their own journeys in different ways. It's not just for refugees, it's really for anyone who wants to understand what it's like to have to escape your home from war, and also what it is like to see things that are so important to you be dealt with like objects, rather than something that is truly holy and meaningful for you. So it's really a book I recommend everyone read. And I'm just so glad I had this opportunity.
Yeah. So, but thank you very, very much. And if I may say to yourself, the book is on sale on Amazon.com and Barnes and Nobles in the United States. But profits from the book, from my behalf, they are given to Walk of Truth. They are charitable, my part of it. So, and any group of people who wants to unsell it, I would promote you, because you're just contributing to the cause. It's not me becoming rich or famous.
Okay. So that's another good reason to buy and read this book. Even if you enter the giveaway, you can give it as a gift and get your own copy.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Tasoula.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.